Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, as we gather around to talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, all sorts of good stuff. And guys, it is an awesome privilege to have you here. This is our first show from the new studio. Of course, I've been doing the WandaVision stuff, but this is our first episode of the John Campea Show from the new studio. Now, I'm going to let you guys know it's not finished, but we do have it all cleaned up. So I got more space in here now. As you can see, I've got a lot more room to work with. It's not completely finished. It's going to look a little bit different. Give me a couple of weeks. Ann and I are still in the midst of moving. We are still in the midst of moving into the new place. We're still unpacking. We're still doing all that kind of stuff, but we're in the new house now. And I want to thank you guys, by the way, for your patience and indulgence. You know, we haven't had a show. It's been a week since we did our last show. And thank you guys for how patient you've been, understanding that we've been trying to get the renovations finished while getting ready to move and then moving in and all that kind of stuff. But we're here now. We're in, and we're awfully glad that you guys are joining us. And of course, it couldn't be a first official episode unless we were greeted himself by the ambassador of goodness himself, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
John, you know, it's so wonderful to be sitting here in this studio with you. And oh, wait. But boy, it sure looks beautiful in there, man. Congratulations.
Soon, you got to come and do a show in studio. Of course, Aaron, within the next couple of weeks, Aaron's going to be coming back. One of the things you can't see right now, guys, that I actually did was I set up an actual desk. I have the room to set up a desk. So the guests who come in, and by the way, Ray's going to come on once in a while too, but the guests will actually have their own desk and everything over there. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited about it. And speaking of excited, everybody, we're excited that you're joining us here today. We have a lot of things that we're going to talk about and cover. We're going to talk about, you know, the fact that WandaVision looks like it could fundamentally change the way the TV industry handles their programming moving forward. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Tomb Raider 2 has taken a major step forward. It's just got its news director. That's good. We're going to talk a little bit about the AMC situation, a whole bunch of good things. But before we get started into all that, guys, let's get started with a little bit of house cleaning and telling you guys, listen, if you haven't done so already, or if you're new around here, why don't you take a second and click on that subscribe button, become a subscriber to the John Campea YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date on all the wonderful things that we've got going on around here, and it'll just make you feel a little bit more plugged in and a part of our community. All right, guys, with that down, let's get into our first off the top, shall we? And our first off the top is this. Rob, one of the shows that I know you, or one of the movies I should say, that I know you really appreciated because I was sitting there with you the first time you saw it, was Aquaman.
Yes.
The Jason Momoa, Amber Heard, James Wan Aquaman film. You came out totally giggling. You were smiling from ear to ear with all the stuff that came with it. It was a great balance of fun and ridiculousness, all kind of rolled into one package, something that Aquaman needed to be. Well, we, of course, have been waiting around for Aquaman 2 to come out, and we just got our first kind of indication on when things are going to actually start officially get rolling on it. According to reports right now, Dolph Lundgren, Ivan Drago himself, who of course I believe played Mera's father, right? It was Mera's father he played.
Yeah.
Dolph Lundgren.
He must break you.
He must break you. Dolph Lundgren has come out and said the following. I may be doing Aquaman 2 this summer, shooting in London, Lundgren said, and that's coming out the following year in the theaters, they hope, which they're thinking is going to be 2022 is when that's going to come out. So Dolph Lundgren right now is coming out and saying that they're going to start shooting Aquaman 2 this summer. Rob, you and I both know that that means at this point that Aquaman 2 is, if they're going to shoot this summer, which is just now, I mean, summer's just a couple of months away. They are well into pre-production at this point.
Oh, yeah.
They're building sets right now. They're doing all these things, probably a lot of pre-vis going on. Rob, what do you think about this? You know, we're still kind of in the midst of the pandemic, but Hollywood seems to be getting things going at this point. Are you still excited for Aquaman 2? Or do you kind of feel like some fans did that one Aquaman was enough? Or are you actually pumped for the second one? Where are you at right now?
Bruh. Come on, dude. I felt that watching Aquaman was like what it was like to see Jason and the Argonauts the first time when I was like 8 or 6, when you saw those Ray Harryhausen stop motion skeletons battling human beings. Well, Jason and the Argonauts. I can't wait. I mean, I in terms of a singular vision of fantastical awesomeness, I loved Aquaman. It was I can't even believe a major studio made that movie. And the fact that they're going to make another one, because it made and not only did they make it, they made $1 billion. So I am very excited. I can't wait to see whatever the new Aquaman. I hope it's just not set in the 80s.
That's still too soon, Rob. Too soon.
Sorry,
okay, let me ask you this: as somebody who is such a fan of it, what are you looking forward to in Aquaman 2 at this point? What are you kind of hoping that we see in there?
Well, I like the worlds, and I would love to see more of the kingdoms of the seven seas explored. I mean, maybe not in a Game of Thrones, the War of the Kings style, because we already saw that. But, it would be interesting to see. I really thought that what they're leading up to, a conflict between the surface world and our friends who live in the oceans, could be interesting. But, I don't necessarily think they have to be slinging nukes at one another. But I don't know. I want to see more of that world developed.
Do you remember shortly after Aquaman came out, there was word that James Wan wanted to develop a spin-off film on The Trench, which of course we saw in the new 52 Aquaman, and they kind of touched on it for a bit. It was kind of horrific, actually, in the first Aquaman movie. I have heard nothing about The Trench since. Have you heard anything about this supposed Trench spin-off? And is it something you even think they should pursue?
Well, again, if it's got a good story and great characters, I always believe in pursuing it. But I've heard nothing about it. I don't know how that's all going to work. But I think that was a cool scene. I just don't know, how do you sustain a whole movie about that? Like, how about you're in the ocean? Why not sail by the trench? Don't go there. Why don't they put on a map? There's creatures that live here. Stay away. That's what they used to do on maps like thousands of years ago. Here's the Aegean Sea. Don't go over there.
Don't go over there. It's kind of like the adage of, hey, listen, couple moves into the new house. You hear voices from the basement saying, get out. You just get out. You just leave. You put it back on the market and you go. Question is, guys, what do you think about this? Dolph Lundgren is saying they're going to start shooting Aquaman 2 this summer. Is that a little bit sooner than you expected? Is right around where you thought it would be? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to a second off the top, and that is this. Speaking of comic book movies that a lot of people are really looking forward to, Thor: Love and Thunder has to rank right up there. When they came out on that stage and announced that they're doing another Thor movie, already super excited. We heard that Christian Bale was going to be there, super excited. We heard Natalie Portman was coming back. I'm not a big fan of the chemistry between Hemsworth and Portman, to be honest, but Portman is awesome, so that got people excited. The biggest piece of that puzzle to me, of course, was that Taika Waititi was coming back to direct it, and after what he did with Thor Ragnarok, I think that got a lot of people excited. Well, the Daily Mail, which is a UK-based, I don't know if you call it a rag or if you call it a paper or an outlet, whatever, but they have published a bunch of set pictures that shows a couple things. Now, listen, I want to give you guys a little bit of warning here. One of the pictures might contain something that you might consider to be a little bit of a spoiler. I assure you it is minor, but if you don't want to see anything that is even remotely spoilerish, and again, I assure you it is very, very minor, you might want to click away for a bit, but here we go. So Rob, here's some of the pictures that we are seeing. I don't know what's going on with Thor there with that particular jacket he's reading, but of course you got Chris Pratt, you got the two Chris's there, Chris Pratt and Chris Hemsworth. Hemsworth obviously has let himself go. He's gotten addicted to the old McDonald's sausage and egg McMuffins. He's clearly in horrible, horrible shape. So unprofessional of him to get so out of shape. Obviously, Fat Thor from Endgame is now gone. A bunch of other things that we saw a little bit more of a close-up of him there. Again, terrific shape. We see him on set, and we see him petting some kind of mystical giant-eyed creature. I thought it was a real thing for a second. Then I saw the ears and the size of the eyes. So there's some kind of creature there. Then again, more of Chris Pratt with Hemsworth. And then we get down into, you can see he's got a stunt double here where he's rocking the same hair and wearing the same outfit. So he's got a stunt double. But what's funny is the stunt double is clearly not in as good a shape as Hemsworth is. You look at the picture of the stunt double and his arms are nowhere. Usually the stunt double is a bigger dude, but the stunt double isn't anywhere near as big as Hemsworth is, which is pretty funny. Now here's where it gets interesting. We got pictures of James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn, who's of course was in the other Guardians movies too. And now he's rocking Yondu's mohawk. But more interestingly to me, and this is the part that might be a minor spoiler for some people, he's got the spear. Not only does he have the mohawk that I guess controls the spear, he's got Yondu's spear hanging there too, which I think looks pretty great. And by the way, I really like Sean Gunn. Sean Gunn is really, really fun. I dig him a lot, actually. So, Rob, we're getting our first look at a whole bunch of pictures. I mean, I am dying to get our first look at Christian Bale as the God Killer. And of course, I want to get my first look at Natalie Portman. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. But it's that word that I made up, Rob. It's the tangibilization. Here it is. Thor Ragnarok is no longer just theory. It's coming. Rob, right now, in general, where are you at as far as your anticipation for a Thor Love and Thunder? And what did you think about these set pics that just got shared?
Well, they're filming a movie. Film at 11. I mean, I've worked on films in Australia, and they know how to make them down there. So I think that's cool. I can't wait to see this movie. I mean, Taika Waititi, even since Thor Ragnarok came out, he's made his soccer movie that we haven't seen yet, and he's got, or I think he did. I think he shot it. And then, of course, Jojo Rabbit and What We Do in the Shadows, the TV series. He's certainly somebody who's been honing his craft. He's already done so much. I mean, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he's directed a great episode of The Mandalorian. What's not to love? I'm in. Count me in. Can't wait. I can't wait. I'm very excited.
Yeah, and again, for me, seeing pictures like this just kind of get the engines revving because it means it's real now. It's no longer just a theoretical thing. It's real. Question is, guys, what do you think about these pictures and these images? They're off and running, ready to go. Are you looking forward to Thor Love and Thunder? Maybe you thought, you know what, Thor Ragnarok was enough. We don't even need a Thor Love and Thunder. I personally am very excited. What do you guys think? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do one more thing off the top before we get into our main topics. And this is now a few days old, but we haven't done a show in a week, Rob. Give me a break. Cut me some slack. We haven't been around. But you guys may have heard, there's been this ongoing drama around AMC theaters. Long ongoing drama about it, and every movie theater in particular. But, AMC theaters got themselves in a bad way through no fault of their own. They went about $5 billion into debt, buying and acquiring new theaters, upgrading all those theaters with leather recliners, putting in the prime theaters with the Dolby Atmos and all that kind of stuff. They were really investing a lot into the viewer experience. They invested heavily into getting their AMC A-List project up and running, which is the greatest thing to ever happen to movie fans, in my personal opinion, is the AMC A-List program. Fantastic. They did a lot of work, and then they just started to turn profit on all that investment. And then the pandemic hit. And of course, they've been hit harder than any other chain. Well, as you guys probably heard, there was a bit of a run at the stock market. Rob, I'm going to let you know this. Ann and I, when AMC stock was down around $2, Ann and I thought, I believe it's going to get better. When the theaters open, that's going to go up to like $4. That's going to go up to like $5. So we bought a bunch of stock. You know this because you and I were talking about this through it. So we bought a bunch of stock, and then we woke up one day, saw that the stock was at $17. We thought, yep, we'll take it. That's like almost 9 times our money. So we thought, we cashed out on it. But the stock soared. Now, I'm not going to go into detail here, Rob, because I am not a stock markets expert. There's a lot of information out there about the Reddit group, the Stock Market Bets, I believe is the name of the group. The same kind of phenomena that we saw happen with the GameStop situation, all that kind of stuff. But the one thing that I thought was really interesting, I want to take a note of this, was that Yahoo Finance put out a story on this, and they wrote something that to me was absolutely staggering. It's this. Listen to this. the stock has now erased all of last year's losses. Listen to this again. This is a statement of impossibility. The stock, AMC stock rise, has now erased all of 2020's financial losses for AMC theaters. The theater operator is still grappling with financial fallout from the pandemic-led closures of its cinemas, of course, and all that kind of stuff. And as of right now, today, the AMC stock, you see a live tracker here, is up 6% on the day. It's still lower than what Ann and I sold our stock at, but we were totally happy with it. I hope it keeps going up for everybody else who's holding onto the stock, which is interesting. But what they were able to do, Rob, was AMC parlayed the rise in stock to sell off a new round of A-list stock, and they raised an additional over $300 million more dollars in a day to go around with a new line of credit that they just acquired. And now AMC CEO, who I actually don't believe is very good at his job, but the new CEO of AMC Theaters is now saying, no more bankruptcy talk for us. He's saying we're solid till like the end of 2021. We're good for like another year. And that's if things don't get better. They said we're good for another year. It is crazy how fast things turn around. Now, Rob, this is not a financial talk show, but I will just say this quickly. The response of entities like Robinhood, the stock sharing app, and a couple of others, they weren't the only one, but they're the most notable, who at the behest of their, corporate hedge fund company masters, told them, stop selling the stock to people. Yeah. And they said, all you could do if you were an AMC stockholder now was sell your stock. You couldn't buy it anymore. Which to me, there has to be a criminal investigation. This needs to be prosecuted because they, through collusion, manipulated the market. Because guess what happens, Rob? Here's a little base on the stock market. When a stock can't be bought and can only be sold, guess what that forces the stock to do? Go down. This was criminal. It was absolutely criminal. And I think through a lot of pressure, they've now opened back up trading on these things, and it is what it is. And again, we're not market analysts here. I don't want to go into all that. I just want to kind of focus on the angle of the story here that AMC got a huge boost from this. And by the way, Rob, even if the stock completely tanks tomorrow, even if the stock goes back down to like $2 a share, AMC's got their money. They're set. They're secure. At least for another year, they're kind of set and ready to go, which, for somebody who is a movie-going experience kind of fan, this was glorious sound to my ears. Anyway, Rob, you heard about this whole situation. What's your take on all this?
Well, I talked about this a little. In a nutshell, a bunch of, Redditors got together and decided to buy a stock. Now, the whole point of a company like Robinhood, it exists in order to put hedge funds and investors in front of the everyman. Because when Robinhood sees people buying stocks, they report that information to their hedge fund minders. So it really, when people are using these kinds of apps, it assures that they'll never have any kind of a great windfall because their information is being reported so people can make trades in front of them. But what happened was that when enough people band together and decide to do something, strength in numbers, they basically stormed the gates and caused all of these shorts, these stocks that were well, not all of these, but it was GameStop how it began. It was a shorted stock, which is game playing anyway. They beat Wall Street at its own game, cost them billions and I read $70 billion. All of these shenanigans cost hedge funds. And they drove up the stock of AMC. They drove up the stock of GameStop. And a lot of people made, like you, John, you benefited.
I did.
You
I can't
benefited
complain.
tremendously. Like you said, you turned around within a year. You made 800% of whatever of your investment. Epic win for you. Epic win for you and the family. Epic win for someone like yourself who is a new homeowner. A lot of that money went to defray costs of your move and buying a home and all that. That's an amazing thing to have happen. It also shows, like you pointed out, just how corrupt I'm a capitalist. I believe in capitalism. The problem is our capitalism is not true capitalism. It's massively corrupt capitalism. And I'm not saying we should be socialist or communist, because I don't believe in that either. But capitalism works very, very well when it's a free market. We're supposed to have a free market. That's the whole basis of our entire economy. But it's not. We saw what happens in 2008. We have all these people. The more money you have, the more games you can play with the entire economy. And these are people that were stormed at the gates by the Visigoths, like in Rome. They had no idea it was coming. And like you said, Robinhood stopped the people using their app from doing what they're supposed to do, which is buy stock. But because a bunch of hedge funds didn't anticipate it, it's really, I think if we really needed a litmus test on where the United States is as a country, this exactly sells it. It's like remember the movie Tucker with Jeff Bridges?
Oh yes.
I love Tucker. He designed this car. He bested the Detroit car makers with something that was better than they had built, and he was destroyed for it. It's the oldest tale in the world. You wield the economic power, you can destroy the little guy. And that's what happened here.
Well, and I think, to me, there's something I've been saying for years, and I know I've gotten a lot of pushback on it, but I completely believe this. I have been saying for years that I believe the entire practice of shorting should be illegal. Like, the idea of the stock market is great. You see a product you believe in, you think it has a future, you invest into that, and if it does well, you reap benefits. If it doesn't, you sustain losses. That's the basic heart of capitalism. The whole idea of shorting, betting on something's failure, the idea that you're putting money on something's failure, which opens the door to just the very fact that a big hedge fund would short massively on a stock, that influences the rest of the market. And it creates a thing where it's artificially lowers the stock price of that. It's basically corporate collusion in many ways. The impropriety that is open up, and I know there's a lot of things it feels like I'm talking about Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd at this point. But the whole idea of shorting to me should be outlawed. It should be banned. It should be wiped off. And I never hope for people to lose all their money. I don't hope for anybody to lose their life savings or to lose their job. Not at all. But I'd be lying if I didn't say there's a part of me that's like, I don't feel sorry for people who just lost a ton of money because they were investing in the hoping for failure of other companies. Yeah. I just don't feel sorry for them. It's hard for me to. Anyway, guys, we've gone on to this long enough. The question is for you. How happy are you? Probably not quite as happy as me, but how happy are you about maybe this was a massive lifeline for AMC theaters in general? Guys, what do you guys think about it all? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with that down, let's get into our main topics today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys select our main topics by going anytime 24/7 when you come across a big story or big piece of news or a big topic that you think we should have as the main topic. Head on over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's totally free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's get into main topic number 1. And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Richard, who writes, so, apparently Lovecraft Country showrunner Misha Green is going to write and direct the Tomb Raider sequel with Alicia Vikander. Not sure if this is enough to make me excited, but it definitely makes me intrigued with what she can come up with. What do you think? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to lie to you. I love this news. Rob. Let's go take a look at this. This comes to us from the folks over at Deadline, who writes, MGM has set Misha Green to write and make her featured directorial debut on with the next Tomb Raider, which has Alicia Vikander set to reprise her role as Lara Croft. Green steps up here after creating and directing Lovecraft Country, the breakout HBO series that stars Journey Smollett, Jonathan Majors, who's going to be in Ant-Man 3 as Kang, apparently, and Michael Keith Williams, who I love. He's great in everything. Tomb Raider will be produced by Graham King via his GK Films banner and Elizabeth Kent-Leon via the Kent-Leon Company. This, of course, comes to us once again from Deadline. Rob, to me, this is all sorts of good news, and I'll tell you why. We have talked for a long time about the three inescapable truths in life that you cannot get away from. Death, taxes, video game movies suck. These are the three immutable laws of the universe. Then that doesn't mean there can't be a terrible video game movie that I don't love, Mortal Kombat, for example, but along came Alicia Vikander's Tomb Raider a couple of years ago. And while to me it was not fantastic, it was the first video game movie that I walked out going, that was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't utterly fantastic, but I enjoyed myself. I actually liked it, and I love Alicia Vikander. And by the way, shout out to Sweep the Jeep who sends in a super chat live badge in the live chat. Thank you for that, man. Appreciate that. But I actually quite enjoyed it. And I'll tell you what else I enjoyed. I loved Lovecraft Country. I loved this show. I mean, episode 2 almost lost me. Like, I really enjoyed episode 1. Episode 2 for me was really weak and I almost ditched on the show, but I stuck around for episode 3 and I'm so glad I did because all the rest of the way, I just loved it. To have, Green come and bring her sensibilities to something like Tomb Raider, to me is completely fantastic. So again, I'm not super thrilled with this because I thought the first Tomb Raider was all that. No, but I thought it was at least entertaining, which is more you can say for almost every video game movie ever made. But hopefully that's about to change. But now you've got Vikander coming back, which means they're building on the strengths of the previous movie. You're now adding talent like Green, who did such a great job with Lovecraft. So, Rob, I got to tell you, for me personally, this is fantastic news. I'm excited about it. Rob, you heard about this. What's your take on it?
Well, I mean, I think it's cool. Like, you have always said that you quite enjoyed the original version.
Yeah.
And my thought is, look, I liked it too. And clearly it did enough business somewhere, whether it was actually theatrically or in the secondary market to warrant another film. And in my mind, if they're behind it, it has, like I always say, John, a great story, great characters. If they have a good script and a good idea, and it sounds like they do, and a director they believe in, that's something I get behind and get excited about. And why not? I mean, the thing is, when you really think about it, who doesn't like Tomb Raider? I mean, it's a fun game to play. We've been playing it for what, 20, 25 years now. And I mean, Lara Croft, great character. We all want her as our girlfriend. Why wouldn't you want to watch a movie that's good?
Yeah, and again, you got Alicia Vikander in there, an Academy Award-winning actress who is just kills it in everything. You may not love every movie she's in, but she kills it every time she's in it.
Precisely.
And again, Rob, I mean, you can't overlook this fact. Like you just said, you and I both enjoyed this movie. How often have we been able to say that about a video game film? I mean, seriously.
Not much. Not many times, John.
Not often. So I think this is great. And I think it's a sign, Rob, because obviously we see a lot of things coming, right? We've talked a lot recently about some big video game properties that are now in motion. We got Last of Us is coming. Halo's got this thing on the move. We got Uncharted coming. So I think because of all those things, I think the studio said, you know what? Even though the first Tomb Raider lost money, not a ton of money, but it did lose money. I think it made like 270 million worldwide, but it wasn't super expensive to make, but still it lost money. But I think now we're seeing the tide turn. We're seeing all these bigger projects coming. We feel confident with a filmmaker like Green and getting Alicia Vikander back. We feel that another Tomb Raider can do well. And I'm glad to see that they're doing it. Question is, guys, what do you think about this? Maybe you hated the first Tomb Raider movie with Alicia Vikander. That's understandable. But maybe if you're somebody like me that you kind of liked it and you see Maybe you didn't even see Lovecraft Country, and you totally should. But for me, this is great news. I'm very excited about it. What do you guys think? Jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's dive in to main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by the one and only. I love that name. And the one and only writes, "Hey, John and friends. The Hollywood Reporter just announced a direct sequel to the 2008 Cloverfield is in the works, with JJ as producer and Joe Barton, the new Batman HBO series, technically it's the new Gotham HBO series, as the writer. It seems we're finally getting a story following the Manhattan events. Being a big fan of the whole Cloverfield universe, I couldn't be more excited by this news. Your thoughts and congrats on your new place." All right, thanks a lot for that, man. I appreciate that. And yes, look, the first Cloverfield came out, and it was, Rob, it's not a dirty word to say, it was a real novelty. There was a real novelty to that first Cloverfield movie.
Yeah.
And a bunch of people enjoyed it. And then they kind of decided to do this weird like anthology kind of thing where they did, what was it called? 1, 2, 3 Cloverfield Lane, or whatever, the one with Elizabeth Weinstead in it.
I think just, yes.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Something along those lines.
And which is pretty good. John Goodman was in that. That was pretty good. Then they did the abysmal Cloverfield in Space one that at the last second, the studio ditched onto Netflix, and then it came out and we were like, oh, that's why they ditched on it. It was absolutely awful. But they never really did. They never followed up with that first Cloverfield movie. Anyway, this comes to us from the folks over at the Hollywood Reporter who write, "Cloverfield, the J.J. Abrams produced horror hit, released in 2008. I can't believe it was like 13 years ago. That launched filmmaker Matt Reeves on his path, who's now doing Batman, on the path of genre auteur, is getting a sequel. Abrams' Bad Robot banner and Paramount Pictures have tapped rising British scribe Joe Barton to pen the script for the project, which, unlike its predecessor, will not be in the found footage format, according to the sources." This is interesting to me. This to me is interesting. So there's a couple things here. Number one, interesting fact number one, they're doing this as a direct sequel to the first one, which is what they should have done in the first place. 8714 Cloverfield Lane South, notwithstanding, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it, but they should have been doing a direct sequel to this in the first place. And Rob, I know this isn't going to be a popular opinion. But I love that they're saying this is not going to be in the found footage format. Don't get me wrong. It worked fine for the first one, but I think going more into that, where's the novelty off? I actually adore the fact that they're saying we're going to do this as a proper narrative movie to follow up on what that first one was. So I know that's not going to be popular with a lot of people. A lot of people who like the first Cloverfield are going to want it to stay the same. And I understand that. It's a valid point of view. But for me, I kind of like this news. Now, I can't really speak to how good or bad I think Barton is because we haven't seen this Gotham HBO series yet. But clearly they kind of like what they see right now. Anyway, Rob, there's a lot of different angles of this whole thing to break down and dissect. You hear about this news, a direct sequel to Cloverfield coming 13, by the time this comes out, 14, 15 years later after the original. We got this showrunner who's doing it. It's not going to be done in the found footage. There's a lot to break down there, Rob. What are your thoughts?
Well, the original Cloverfield might be my favorite thing that J.J. Abrams was ever involved in theatrically. I loved it. I thought it was innovative. I thought it was really interesting. It turned into a giant monster movie, which I love. I love the found footage angle on it. I thought it was really well done. I love the lead up, the marketing to it. It was so mysterious. Now it's all old hat, but I loved it. And the idea that they might do a sequel as a quote unquote regular movie without the found footage aspect, where we're going to learn about what's going on, or maybe multiple creatures have now laid siege to wherever, New York. I'm in, man. Count me in and count me stoked, because what's not to love about that?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they pick. And it's also going to be interesting to see how people respond, because it has been a lot of years, and it's not like the first Cloverfield was a $1 billion film, and they
No.
had some, especially with that Cloverfield in space one. It's going to be interesting to see how people respond to this. Do you think people are going to be excited about this?
Well, if it looks good, I think the last Cloverfield movie that they dropped, right after the Super Bowl, that was actually a movie called The God Particle, but then they turned it into a Cloverfield movie, was such a crushing disappointment that they can only go up. It can only be better, because you'd be hard pressed to make a movie that was less disappointing than the last Cloverfield film. So I'm there for it, John. Color me stoked. I'm in.
Question is, guys, what do you think about this news? Do you like the fact that they're doing it? Do you like that they're going to make it as a direct sequel to the first one? Do you think that means they'll ignore the other ones? Probably as kind of anthology sort of thing. What do you think about them not doing it in the found footage format? Do you think it might be a little bit too late to do this thing? What are you guys thinking about it? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down, let's now move into main topic number 3. And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Randolph Mercier, who writes, "Hello, John and Rob. One show that not a lot of people talk about, despite being one of the best shows ever, is Hannibal. I was gutted when I learned it was canceled. Anyway, just read that Mads Mikkelsen is saying a 4th season may finally be happening. What do you think about this? And do you think people will tune back into it? Thanks." All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, one of the shows that was out there that was really, it was quite graphic too. It was funny that this thing was actually like on television, was Hannibal. And it, of course, was the one that, even though Mads Mikkelsen had been around a long time, it kind of made Mads Mikkelsen a household name for a lot of people. Now, of course, the show got kind of killed in its tracks after season 3. They thought they were going to get a 4th season, and kind of out of nowhere, it surprised them. They canceled it after season 3. But now there may be hope that there might be a 4th season, according to Hannibal Lecter himself, Mads Mikkelsen, who said the following when he was being interviewed on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. He said this: "Hannibal has found a new home on Netflix. The talks have been revitalized, talks about a 4th season. I don't think you'd find a member of the cast that is still alive that would say, no thanks. We all enjoyed it tremendously." Again, Netflix, Hannibal has found a new home on Netflix. The talks have been revitalized. I don't think you'd find a member of the cast that is still alive that would say, no thanks. We all enjoyed it tremendously. That, of course, comes to us from Mads Mikkelsen. Rob, this was a show that got a lot of people excited. A lot of people got on board with this. I don't know how big the viewership numbers were, but I know that the people who watched it were very passionate about it. And again, it made Mads Mikkelsen a household name. And it's another kind of example of the trend, Rob, that we see these shows and movies, older shows, older movies, and Hannibal's not that old, but it's been off the air for a few years now, that are getting eyeballed for being revived. And Hannibal seems to be the next in line for that. Rob, number one, do you think they will actually go ahead and move forward? Do you think we're going to get a Hannibal season 4 on Netflix? I mean, Netflix has saved other shows, Designated Survivor, Lucifer, which we're going to have coming back pretty soon. And now this. And are you personally excited about the idea of Mads Mikkelsen returning and there being a Hannibal season 4? What do you think?
I loved Hannibal. I've often said that I think it's the best horror-themed television show ever made in terms of an ongoing episodic series. The performances by all of the cast were uniformly great. The cinematography, the nightmarish design of it all, Brian Fuller's show running. The show is, I think, a triumph of genre television. And, they were in the process. Brian Fuller really, he didn't have the rights to the book Silence of the Lambs, so they couldn't use the character of Clarice Starling. And now Alex Kurtzman, his quote-unquote co-creator of Star Trek Discovery, is doing a Clarice series for CBS, but they can't use Hannibal. So go figure out those rights. I mean, I would love it. I would love to see a 4th or maybe 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th season of Hannibal. I would love to see it. I know that the actors are on record saying they would love to do it. I think it's a real rights issue. I know Brian Fuller, I've spoken to him before. I've interviewed him for my own YouTube channel, would love to do it. So fingers crossed. I mean, why not? That show is so beautifully made, a real triumph in genre television history. I can't imagine what it would be like to see a fourth season, but I'm there for it, John. Please, 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 please make a fourth season of Hannibal. Please.
Question.
And by the way,
yes,
just the way they kill people in that show, especially season 2, they've got some of the most imaginative executions of human beings I think ever committed to any kind of narrative that was filmed.
By the way, I got to read this one, and you have to be tuned into what's been going on in the TMZ rag stuff a bit, but who was it that said this? Kingston in the live chat sends in the comment, Army Hammer should star in Hannibal season 4. And if you've been paying attention to what's going on, that's I mean, poor Army Hammer, but that's a pretty funny comment. Anyway, question is, guys, what do you think about this? Maybe you never watched Hannibal. And listen, I don't think a ton of people did, but the people who did watch it seem to all love it. Maybe you were one of them. What do you think about the idea? Do you think it's actually going to happen or not? Do you think this is a good idea? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's move into our fourth and final main topic today. And our fourth and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Cheryl Fairview, who writes, "Hi, John, and big congratulations on the news house." Probably meant the new house, but thank you so much for that, Cheryl. I appreciate that. My husband and I have become absolutely obsessed with WandaVision right from the first episode. We were talking after episode 4 about it, and we feel like WandaVision could change TV and how people watch it. When you consider WandaVision is a full part of the greater MCU, could TV start to move more towards shared universes too? Thank you. All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, Cheryl. And yeah, we've been talking a lot about WandaVision. Rob, people are loving talking about WandaVision. I just at 1:30 this morning finished part 3 of our WandaVision episode 4 spoiler discussion because so many people wanted to talk about it. When you combine parts 1, 2, and 3 of our spoiler discussion, it's over 7 hours. 7 hours. That's how much people want to talk about WandaVision. And it's amazing. I'm all for it. I'm all in. I mean, it was great. And I was up till like 1:30 in the morning last night trying to get that final part finished, and it's up and online on the thing now. But that's the thing. A lot of people are chatting. A lot of people are buzzing. And by the way, special shout out to Kingston in the live chat who sent in a super chat badge. Thank you so much for that, Kingston. Appreciate that. Rob, it is crazy how much this thing has caught on. And people are getting into it in episode 4, which we won't do a full reveal or a full review of it again right now. But episode 4 was completely bonkers and really took things to an entirely new level entirely. And it was great. But here's the thing. Cheryl's asking, could this kind of fundamentally change the way that TV makes its shows? And I remember when I first read that from Cheryl, I thought, well, that might be a little bit of a stretch, but then I thought about it. Rob, one of the things that the MCU has done, and also to an extent the DCEU and Harry Potter spinoffs and stuff like that, but one of the things the MCU has really done is they have made the entire movie industry kind of look towards not just franchises. The movies forever have looked at making Billy Bob's Booby Part 1 and Billy Bob's Booby Part 2 and Billy Bob's Booby Part 3. They've always done that, but the MCU has now brought in the idea of beyond sequels, shared cinematic universes. Now, I love the shared cinematic universe. I also think the shared cinematic universe is overdone a little bit. I mean, I think we're losing. Joker is a great example of this. We're losing a bit of the sense of the power and beauty of a truly standalone movie. I think it needs to be both and, not either or. Like, I don't prefer standalone over shared universe or the opposite. I just think it needs to be both and. And I think we're becoming a little bit too reliant on an overuse of shared cinematic universe, and we're losing the art of the true standalone movie. But that being said, that is something that we've clearly seen, Rob, taking hold with other studios and movies. Other studios and movies right now aren't just looking to try to get, their individual films up and running and hopefully get sequels, they're all looking at what can we make shared cinematic universes. Rob, you remember Universal tried to jump on this train by we're going to do our shared dark universe, our monsters universe. And oh boy, everybody, we're going to do what they start with, The Mummy. And then we're going to do, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And we're going to do The Invisible Man. And we're going to do Frankenstein. And look at all these big stars we've got going to do that. And then what happened? One movie died. But it proves the point. They're doing that. With WandaVision, and this is something that kind of crossed my mind, and I didn't think about it till Cheryl wrote this in. With WandaVision, one of the things WandaVision has going for it that most shows don't is that we come into this show already completely knowing this world. When Agent Jimmy Woo, played by Randall Park, shows up and pulls his Ant-Man card trick with his card to give to Monica Rambeau, we know Agent Woo already. We know him. We know his personality. We know his background. We know all this kind of stuff. Obviously, the main players here, Wanda and Vision, we know the context that the universe is in. This is all already known to us. And WandaVision, unlike a lot of other shows that have to start from scratch, which is why I think a lot of shows take 4 or 5 episodes before they get interesting, WandaVision has that. And again, like I said, when I first read Cheryl's message, I kind of dismissed it at first. But the more I think about it, yeah, if WandaVision continues to make the waves that it does, I think we're going to see what happened in the movie world, what we see happening in the movie world right now, Rob, with all the studios, not just looking for franchises, they're all looking for shared cinematic universes they can start. I think we're going to see that translate into TV as well. If, and this is a big if Disney Plus and Marvel can continue to make these things great. For all we know, WandaVision episodes 5 through 9 will suck. There's no reason to believe that, but they could. Maybe Falcon and Winter Soldier completely craps the bed. But if they're able to carry this on with the type of buzz, and again, a 30-minute episode, Rob, generated a 7+ hour post-spoiler discussion from a 30-minute episode. If they can continue to make us that excited and that much of getting soaked in the mystery of it, and the theorizing of it, and we all get invested in it, if they can continue to do that, I think Cheryl may be right. This could kind of fundamentally cause a bit of a shift in the entire industry. Well, now everybody from Amazon to the traditional networks even, NBC already kind of has their own shared cinematic universe, right? They got their Chicago lines. They got Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD. They have them cross over all the time. I mean, this could really be an indication of where things are going. Rob, you're taking a look at this. You hear these theories. What could this have that kind of an impact on TV, or do you think it's a little bit early to be speculating about things like that? What do you think?
Well, look, I mean, in terms of having a long-term lasting impact, you know how many people have said, we should do a shared universe. The fact is, Marvel has already done 12 years of work, 13 years now of work, beginning with Iron Man 1, carefully laying the groundwork over 23 movies and now multiple TV shows. There's no one else that's going to, you know what, in the history, maybe moving forward, I don't believe it'll ever happen. The kind of success that Marvel has built is unique. It is singular. And like you pointed out astutely, WandaVision works as well as it works because it's sequels to, we have a character we saw as a little girl in Captain Marvel, grown up, Monica Rambeau. We have Vision, who was established in the Age of Ultron. We now have references to Wanda's brother, who died in Age of Ultron. We have Wanda herself. And they were all established in these movies that each grossed, on the average, $1 billion. And we're all invested. The planet is invested. And the fact that they had the time and the wherewithal to do this wacky show is because of 13 years, 12 years or 11 years, because we didn't get a Marvel movie last year. They built this over it is not the future of TV. And if TV wants to go down this road, they have a lot of work to do. And I don't think anybody can do that kind of work. They're trying to do it with Star Trek. They're trying to make Star Trek. They've got Discovery, they've got Picard, they've got Strange New Worlds that they're making. And Star Trek was an interconnected series way before, when you had the Berman era, you had
Next
TNG,
Generation, Deep Space Nine,
Deep Space Nine,
Voyager.
Voyager, and Enterprise was a prequel. They made movies at the same time. Even that didn't work as well as the MCU. Well, it did work. Actually, it did work pretty well. But it's tough, dude. And while they might want it to be, I think ultimately this kind of a sprawling epic narrative is an anomaly. It's not the norm. And I don't think it ever will be the norm because it's too hard to sustain.
It's funny too, because some people in the live chat are pointing out something really, really important. It's like, this has been kind of touched on before. Like, I think it was, if you go all the way back to my like earliest childhood where I can barely remember, but like Different Strokes crossed over with, what was the name of the show where it's the all girls house and Mrs. Garrett?
Facts of Life.
Facts of Life. They did some crossover, but in more recently you basically had a CSI kind of crossover universe with all the different CSI shows, Law and Order with the 85 different Law and Order shows, like Law and Order Closet at 7-Eleven sort of thing. It's been done before. I am always very hesitant to say something big that is happening now can't be replicated later. I don't know, like, the old saying, Rob, records are made to be broken. But it is very difficult to imagine something attaining that level of success again, because as of right now, we've never seen it before. It's never happened before.
Well, and also the groundwork that had to be done. Think about just how much they're touching on. You've got characters that were introduced in Thor. You've got characters that were introduced in Ant-Man. You've got characters that were introduced when they were little kids in Captain Marvel. And there was so much groundwork. And by the way, that's sprawling. This isn't just like, okay, we've got CSI in different cities. These are narrative threads that have been built over more than a decade in multiple movies that cost $150 million each to make. And they're not even co-stars. They're like day players that are being brought back and elevated to main star status. And then not only that, but things like Sword, they have the entire Marvel Comics history that goes back decades and decades to draw upon. So I can't see any narrative. I could see I just can't see a narrative even in the future that has this much groundwork, that has the comics to draw from, then 12 years of the cinematic universe to draw from. And this is their first TV show. And whether it's AIM, whether it's Mephisto, whether it's Wonder Man, whoever it is that the big bad is revealed to be, those people also have a backstory that isn't even in the cinematic universe yet, that comes out of comics. And it's crazy that this all works.
But here's the thing. Because Marvel has done it so well, they're laying groundwork. And they're going to make it a little bit easier for somebody else to. It's not going to be as hard to replicate this as MCU did it, because it's kind of like everything else. Somebody, the forerunners, they do it first. It makes it, we can stand on their shoulders and maybe do it a little bit better next. And then, so it may come. But Rob, let me ask you this. This is something that came up a lot. I don't know what you think about this, but talking about what potential future stuff that they're able to take minor characters and do this, I am all in right now. I kid you not. I am all in on the idea of a Dr. Darcy and Agent Wu X-Files kind of spin-off show for Disney Plus. I am all for this. I have loved the chemistry with Kat Dennings and Randall Park. So give me that X-Files kind of show where they investigate unexplainable phenomena in this MCU world. I am all down for that.
I have to tell you, and keep in mind, we've only seen them interact in a 30-minute episode of this series.
Yep.
And I agree. I loved them. I loved the chemistry, the acting, those characters. I hope they bring these characters. I think they're both, the two of them together are the new Agent Coulson, and I hope they do something with them because amazing. I love them. I mean, by the way, that fourth episode of WandaVision was wildly entertaining. Wildly entertaining.
Yeah, and it freaked. How do you change a charming little sitcom into a horror series in the blink of an eye? They just did it. Anyway, looking forward to episode 5. And of course, Ann and I will be doing our spoiler discussion on Friday about episode 5 as well. But the question is for you guys, what do you think about this? I mean, if WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Ms. Marvel, Hawkeye, if these things start to generate this level of success and are able to stay consistent with it, are we going to see the same sort of patterns that we've seen in the movie universe where now everybody's trying to do it? What do you guys think? Jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with all of our main topics down and out of the way, let's talk about this for a second here. We're now going to move into our live comments and questions. And here's how you normally send in the live comments and questions to be read in this part of the show. Simply use the tip link that's in the description of this video. You'll see it down there. Just click on it, or you can enter it in manually at streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. Want to continue to bring attention to this, as we still get a lot of tips coming in that are listed as anonymous because people forget to fill out that top line that says your name. And guys, if you send in a great question for us and you support our show by sending it in, I want to make sure you guys get a shout out. So please try to make sure you fill that out, unless of course you want to remain anonymous. Now, before we get into the live questions here, I'm going to do something, Rob, that no YouTuber should do.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to do something that no YouTuber in their right mind will do.
Don't do it.
I'm going to tell you guys who are watching live right now, you probably, if you want to send in a tip question, feel free, but I'm telling you, you probably shouldn't right now. And I'll tell you why. Because of the fact that I have been moving, and the fact that, I had to take a week off of the show and, to do the renovations, finished up in the house before we moved, start packing. We are very far behind on getting the topic questions that you guys have sent in already. And so I'm going to work very hard. I'll probably try to hit up this guy too to help me with this later, although I haven't asked him that yet. But I'm going to try very hard in the next couple of days to get completely caught up on all the questions that we are behind. But I just wanted to acknowledge to you guys that a bunch of you guys have sent in questions, and you're looking at your watches thinking, how come my questions haven't been answered? I have fallen behind on this, and I appreciate all your patience. And we're going to go as fast as we can and as efficiently as we can by doing a bunch of companion videos as well. And my goal is by the end of Wednesday that we are all caught up. And maybe even sooner than that. But if you want to send in questions in the meantime anyway that get put in the queue to get answered soon, by all means, go ahead and do that. All right, guys, that down. Enough of me apologizing. Let's get a very Canadian thing of me to do, by the way. Let's get into your live comments and questions. And we're going to start things off here. And we're going back a ways, for, almost a week here, but let's get into it here. Cobra Kai Never Dies writes, Dear John and crew, can you please have a $45 a month option? Thanks for perks or memberships. Thanks. Well, what Cobra Kai is clearly referencing there is we have a Patreon campaign. We don't mention or promote the Patreon campaign very much because we have such a great group of Patreon supporters that I honestly don't think about promoting the Patreon thing. But yes, obviously, and we don't have support limits as high as $45, but thank you for asking about Cobra Kai, and thank you for giving me an excuse to plug the Patreon thing. We'll look into that. All right. Quintus Deschun writes, Good evening, John and crew. Question. What's the status on Aver Duvernay's New Gods film? If there is any. With the minimal and cryptic details Duvernay gives and other ventures she's taken on recently, is it safe to assume that New Gods might be dead in the water? Rob, I've thought forever, I've always had my doubts that this project was ever going to see the light of day. A lot of projects get, given the go-ahead to start development. They'll hire a screenwriter, they'll attach a director, all that kind of stuff, but that doesn't mean the movie's greenlit. And a lot of movies go to that stage and never get made. We've heard so little about this. It's possible it happens. I still think this thing isn't going to happen, but have you heard anything more recently, Rob? And do you think this thing's going to happen?
Well, I read scripts when I was working at Warner Brothers for Speed Racer, and it got made like 17 years later. Literally. So I think that I never say never. And if they've spent money developing a project on this project they have, I'd like to think that maybe someday it'll show up, but maybe they have to wait to see Eternals and how from Marvel and see how that turns out, so they can be like, oh, they did it. Okay, I get it, how we can do this now. I mean, it's always a crapshoot, but I don't think it's dead. I just don't think we're going to see it anytime soon.
I agree, unfortunately. All right. Next up, I fucking told all of you, writes, I won a total of $420 because I bet $100 on Chandler to win and to win 200 and bet $63 on Poirier to win 220. What did I tell y'all? Sorry, John, but everyone said I was dumb betting on them, but I'm happy right now. P.S. People always go with your gut no matter what other people say. No, by the way, that is bad advice. That is bad advice. People make the dumbest decisions in their life when they ignore what everybody else tells them. But listen, I told all of you, you're not the only one. I mean, I made a video talking about how I picked Chandler and I told everybody Poirier was going to win. So you weren't alone in that. You weren't alone. So I made a video on that too. But listen, no. When you have everybody in your life who you trust and know that are wise and all that kind of stuff telling you that, hey, you know what? It's not a good idea. I don't think shoving that butter knife into the electrical outlet will give you electrical superpowers. We don't think that's going to do it. Nah, my gut is telling me that it will. No. Maybe there's a time and place for that, but it's not a bad idea to listen to sage advice from smart people around you. I'm just saying. All right, thanks for that. Next up, Mike writes, hey, John, Kevin Smith said on his podcast that he has heard from very credible sources that at Warner Brothers that they are going to be rebooting Batman, the animated series for HBO Max. Is this a good idea? It's obviously a rumor, but good Lord, please let it be true. I don't think it's... Here's the only part of me, Rob, that thinks that's a bad idea. Because like a lot of people, I really enjoyed the original Batman animated series. I mean, that was just so interesting. They used the soundtrack and themes from the Tim Burton movie. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, it was great. Introduced a lot of the world to Conroy. But the one bad thing I see about it is this. The dilution and oversaturation of Batman. And that's my only worry. So I don't know if it's actually going to happen. Kevin Smith, who I adore, talks a lot about things he hears that don't actually ever happen. So this could be real. It might not be real, whatever. HBO Max is desperately looking for content right now. The only downside I see, because there's a lot of upsides, the only downside I see is the possible, oversaturation and devaluing of the Batman character. Other than that, I see nothing but upside. What do you think, Rob?
Well, look, there's already a Batman animated series, so any devaluation or overexposure has already happened, and by adding to that series, I said this actually the other day on my own show. I think Batman the animated series is one of the finest depictions of Batman ever, and I think it's so beloved, it's so beautifully done, and a lot of the people that were involved with that show are still around. And if they're going to pick up where they left off, I think, my God, bring in things like the Court of Owls, into that universe and tell those stories. I think there's been a lot of really interesting Batman tales. I mean, I'm here for it, man. I want to see that happen.
All right.
Bring it on. I want it. Give it to me now.
Next up. We've got Poirier retiring. What? Did you hear Dustin might be done with fighting after that? He said he only enjoyed the fight and just wants to sell hot sauce, which is good. I don't care what people say. He's a champ. He beat Max while he was champ, and Connor. But they didn't fight at Max's weight. It wasn't for a title, so he's not a champ. And Connor, he is a champ and should focus on his daughter. Listen, a lot of fighters after big fights say things. A lot of fighters. And I think here's the problem with Dustin Poirier. He got beat so thoroughly by Khabib Nurmagomedov that Khabib's not going to come out of his temporary retirement to fight Dustin Poirier again. Poirier's a beast. I love Dustin Poirier. He's amazing. But he is simply not in the same class, like not even remotely in the same class as Khabib Nurmagomedov. And I think that's the only thing out there left for Dustin is to try to get to win that back from Nurmagomedov, but Nurmagomedov's not going to fight him again because he just beat him too easily. So I don't know if there's any other fights that look really interesting to Dustin, unless it's a title fight. But again, don't worry about it. A lot of fighters say things after a fight. You're going to see Dustin Poirier fight again. You're going to see him fight again. Of that, I have no doubt. All right, Cobra Kai Never Dies writes, and tips in like $20. Thank you, Cobra Kai, for that support, man. Dear John and crew, just wanted to say thanks for all you do and keep up the good job. Big fan, been watching you now for over 4 years and now a new Patreon supporter. Cheers. Oh, thank you so much for that, Cobra Kai. It's always awesome when somebody just wants to write in to say something kind and supportive. That is really, really kind of you. Thank you for being part of our community and thank you for joining our Patreon program as well. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you again. All right, next up. Please watch scene, I beg you, writes, please, I know you stopped Kingdom, but I have a question. I want to see Frank Grillo fight Matt Hughes. If yes, then skip the last 2 episodes of Kingdom so you can see that fight. P.S. Only reason I asked you to watch that show is to see Grillo versus Hughes. Please just watch the fight only. Matt Hughes is, of course, one of the all-time great UFC fighters. He's a member of the UFC Hall of Fame. Had great rivalries with BJ Penn, George St. Pierre. He was just Matt Serra. He had a great rivalry with. He was simply pound for pound, probably the physically strongest fighter that's ever been in the UFC. He was a little guy, Rob. He's a welterweight, Matt Hughes, but he was a farm boy. Like he had a farm. He's a farm boy. This dude had psychotic, unnatural physical strength. Like pound for pound, I think he's the biggest guy he's ever had. But yeah, I might do that, man. I think I'll go ahead and go and watch those last couple. My wife is still watching Kingdom. I gave up on it after season 1, but who knows? All right. An anonymous viewer writes, hey, John, what if MCU is setting up the return of Dormammu in WandaVision and Doctor Strange 2 by giving him elements from the Mephisto character? To me, both are devils of their own universes. Agnes may bring back Dormammu with Wanda as a doorway. Dormammu may be Ralph. I don't buy that at all. We talked about this a lot, Rob, on the spoiler discussions. Right. Here's the thing. I'll be straight up with you. Right now, I don't believe Mephisto's involved. I don't believe Nightmare's involved. I don't believe Wonder Man's involved. I really do think this is all Wanda. But if you believe that Mephisto could be involved, that is understandable because there is evidence. There's at least anecdotal evidence there that would point you towards that theory, right? So I don't think so. But you're not crazy if you think Mephisto's involved because there are little things in there that could point towards that. With the Dormammu theory, the problem I have with it, well, number one, is it possible? Yes. But I haven't seen any evidence in the show. Whereas you could say, well, that could be evidence for Mephisto. That could be evidence that Agnes is actually Agatha Harkness. That there are those little crumbs there that you could build a theory around it. But with Dormammu, I haven't seen anything that matches with the MO of Dormammu, that this matches any way he's handled things before, especially if you look at how he dealt with through Caecilius. I just don't see it. What do you think? Do you think Dormammu is an active possibility here?
No. for all the reasons that you said, I think that, whatever the revelation is, and if there is a big bad that's going to, if it's Agatha Harkness and if it's, Mephisto, these are huge asks. Like to bring in the devil into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, it's one thing, like even at the beginning of Thor Ragnarok, we met Surtur, and Thor was hanging basically in hell. And that played into the whole movie. And we're going to be at the halfway point this week with WandaVision. I think we're overreaching. I could be wrong, but I think Wanda herself is the danger here. And Wanda herself is so powerful that I think it's enough. And if they bring in 6 or 7 or 8 episodes and coming up with Dormammu or Mephisto, I just think it sort of derails what's happening. But I could be wrong because if they do a great job, dude, I was blown away by episode 4. It was the fastest, happiest, most fun 30 minutes I've had in a long time. And you never know what they're going to do, but I don't think it's Dormammu. I don't.
All right, next up, we got Josip who writes, "Hey, John, longtime viewer from Croatia. Have you ever watched, and what are your thoughts on Mirko Krokop?" I used to watch him all the time, man. He is a legend here, and he's and one of the greatest fighters in Pride. Late in his career, he had a few not so good fights in the UFC. Yeah, he diminished rather quickly after he came to the UFC. He had that, that one fight where, now, Mirko Krokop was this fighter who basically, his right kick, I think they called the Widowmaker. Because he would hit guys with this left kick and like put them to sleep. But then he fought this guy, I believe it was Gabriel Gonzaga. He fought a guy in the UFC, this big heavyweight, Gabriel Gonzaga, and who hit him with his own head kick. And it's one of the scariest knockouts I've ever seen. Like, Mirko Krokop just collapsed. But in his day in Pride, he was an absolute beast. All right, next up. Rated Row writes, "When Monica Rambeau flew out of the bubble and into the field, she was still wearing her 1970s clothing. Does this imply when Wanda manifests and creates an alternate reality, it can continue to exist in normal reality? Vision and twins can be brought into normal reality." I don't know about that, Rob. This is something that I kind of touched on in my own spoiler discussion, because when things go in to Westview, things get altered to match the setting. But when Monica Rambeau came out, she didn't revert back to her regular world clothing. I don't know if that means that, like, I believe Vision is not the real Vision. He's a manifestation of some sorts. Vision is dead. I don't believe right now that the twins are real. Although there are legitimate reasons to believe they are. I just right now don't believe I do. Ask me again after episode 5. I may totally change my mind on that. But it does raise a question. How come things change going in, but they don't change coming out? Do you have a theory about that?
Well, first of all, I think the kids are real because she gave birth to them. You know, I mean, for whatever reason, I think like this reality that she's created, it exists. You know, the people are in it. They're wearing these clothes, and I think that she. It's kind of like the kid in the way one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes with Billy Mooney is "It's a Good Life," based on the story by Jerome Bixby, about the kid who has whisked away his neighborhood into some nether region, and when he doesn't like people, he wishes them into the cornfield. You know, "You're a bad man. You're a very bad man."
Yeah, I've been referencing that episode a lot.
And I think that's what Wanda's doing. I think the reality she creates is real. And it truly exists. It's there. And the fact that she for whatever reason made herself get pregnant with an accelerated pregnancy, and those kids were born. She gave birth. We didn't watch it. I mean, you know, it wasn't clinical, but we did see it. It was in the show. It's canonical. And I think what's going on in that world is real. Certainly the broadcasts, the television broadcasts that we saw are real. And I think that anything that happens in that reality is in fact real. I think Vision is her recreation of Vision. It's not the real Vision, it's her recreation of it, but I think that Vision is real. He's a real manifestation. Just like in the comics, you know, she had 2 kids like that grow up to be young Avengers. So I think we're going to see moving forward, but it's going to be interesting to. No, it didn't, but we're going to see what happens. I think what's going on in there is absolutely real, based on her what she's conjured up.
I'm not here to judge with the necrophilia dead robot sex. That's her things. I'm not here to judge anybody. That's totally good. That's totally fine. But, you know, whatever. But I don't know. I still don't think that the kids are real. I don't think that Vision. I think we're going to see, because we see in the new trailer, that Vision tries to walk out of the energy field, and I don't think he's going to be able to. Everything else can come out of the energy. I don't think he's going to be able to, because I think he is a product purely of that fantasy world. And I don't think he's going to be able to leave. But now watch. Yeah. Episode 5 happens, and he will walk right through that energy field. It's like, well, there goes that theory. We'll find out. But that's the beauty of WandaVision, right? Dude, they've got us talking about all these questions. They've got us talking and wondering all these questions and all these theories. And it's a brilliant thing. They're answering questions while introducing new questions. And they're doing a great job with it. By the way, Michael Bouchard just sent in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you for that, Michael. Appreciate that. Okay, sorry. Let's keep moving on here. Let's see. That was Rated Row. B. Wayne, New York writes, John Robb, so I just watched the new Kong vs. Godzilla trailer for the 5th time. This looks amazing. Kong mean right to Godzilla's jaw and had me yelling, yeah, and grinning from ear to ear. Whatever it takes, I will see this movie in the theater. Let's get ready to rumble. And Rob, I don't know if you know about this yet.
Uh-oh.
But I actually had some people clue me into this on YouTube yesterday. So Godzilla vs. Kong director Adam Wingard, I didn't know this. He put together a 7-minute video of all of his favorite responses and online reactions to the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer. And there's a lot of people in it, but he dedicated a full minute out of just the 7 minutes. A full minute of it was our discussion about the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer. You're
kidding.
No, that he put in there. So I thought that was a lot of fun. And yes, the trailer was spectacular. And Rob, I had no interest of driving to Vegas to go and watch this movie. But depending on how things are come the end of March, I think I'm driving to Vegas to watch this movie on a big screen.
Why doesn't Adam Wingard hook us up with premiere tickets or whatever? What's up, man?
What premiere? They're not going to have a premiere.
Well, can we go to the Warner lot and see it in the Steve Ross Theater?
Screw that. Have him come over. Adam Wingard, you clearly watch this show. Come on over. I got a new house. We can hang out by the pool. We'll pop in some Godzilla versus Kong.
We'll be socially distanced. Yeah, man.
We'll socially distance, and we'll make some great Filipino cuisine. We'll kick back, relax. It'll be a good time, Adam. Come on, man. Make it happen. Anyway.
Dude, I'm all there for that. I'll drive out. I'll stay socially distanced.
I am all in for that. Okay. Let's move on here. Next up, that was B. Wayne from New York. Playmaker writes, hey, John, that Godzilla vs. Kong trailer was sensational. I'm betting either that's not actually Godzilla or someone is trying to control him and make him look bad. Either way, I'm taking Kong in this one, especially since he has a battle axe. Yeah, that he infused with Godzilla's nuclear fire, which is great. Rob, that is the big mystery. One of the reasons the trailer was so great is because it did a fabulous job of the fundamentals. It introduced us to the main players, and it gave us a general idea about what is this story about. Forget the fantastic action. It did the fundamentals right. That's why I love this trailer so much. But one of the mystery it introduced us to, Rob, is this. Godzilla's hurting people, and that makes no sense. And why? Why is that happening? And we're going to find out there is something nefarious going on for sure. But do you have any theories about that already? Even though all we've seen is one trailer, but do you got any theories?
I don't know if I have a theory. I mean, as a longtime Godzilla lover, Godzilla has been manipulated and controlled by even aliens from Planet X before. So there's a lot to unpack here. But maybe there's an old rivalry that we don't know about that's been rekindled.
Well, they mentioned that in the trailer, right? There was a war, they say.
Right, but was it a war was Godzilla involved in that war? I think there's a lot of ambiguity in this trailer, and I don't quite really know. I mean, maybe Godzilla knows something that we don't know. Maybe Godzilla knows that whatever the big bad is, that he mistakes Kong for being something Kong isn't, because Kong's never been off Skull Island before. So Godzilla's like, bruh, I don't know why you're off your island, but whatever you're doing is not good, and we're going to fight. I'm going to put you back on that island. I mean, we don't know. So all I know is that I can't wait to see this movie.
Yep, and then you and I are going to have to get our opposing Team Kong and Team Godzilla shirts.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, I kind of was, I vacillate between because
Mm.
I've loved the way Kong has been portrayed. I loved Kong Skull Island. I loved it, and I like Kong, and I feel that maybe, I mean, Godzilla is a free range kaiju. He can go wherever, or she can go wherever he or she wants. We don't really know. It's ambiguous, but maybe Godzilla doesn't have a gender because it can have children or it can't. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do
Well,
it.
in that one movie, Godzilla laid eggs. Remember
Yeah.
the one with Hank Azaria?
I
Godzilla
know.
laid eggs.
I know. So it's like, but Godzilla is like a free range kid, and Kong's been kind of sequestered away on one island. He's kind of a homebody. So now seeing Kong out into the world, I mean, does this world, aside from the people that have been to Skull Island, this world doesn't know Kong exists until now. So it's going to be interesting, or the little girl that knows him. It'll be interesting to see how they develop the mythology. I can't wait to see what's happening. But all I know is I haven't decided which team I'm on yet, John.
Oh, I know I am. I'm Team Kong, man. But I can't wait to see, because they give us the one trailer that was clearly Kong-centric. And I think they're going to get a new trailer that is going to be Godzilla-centric and give us a different point of view and maybe some more MMA analysis there. All right, let's keep rolling on here. Next one up comes to us from Tristan Thorpe, who writes, here's a theory I had about Godzilla versus Kong. What if Kong is actually fighting Mechagodzilla, who's disguised as Godzilla the whole time? And that's when, at the end, Godzilla helps Kong fight Mechagodzilla. Either way, I'm finally excited to watch this. I don't think so, because I believe, if you look very closely around the 4-second mark of the Godzilla versus Kong trailer, I think we get a little bit of a peek of Mechagodzilla. So I think that is actually Godzilla fighting Kong. If not, it's going to piss a lot of people off because they're telling us it's Godzilla versus Kong. And if they pull a fast one, say it's actually Godzilla, it's actually Kong versus Mechagodzilla, I think that would piss a lot of people off. So I think that is actually Godzilla he's fighting. All right. Naja writes, Godzilla, save Mothra. Kong, why did you say that name? I've been inundated, Rob. I don't know about you. I've been inundated with people sending me this meme of King Kong on the ground saying, save Mothra, and Godzilla saying, why did you say that name? It never gets old, folks. It never gets old, or maybe it actually really does. All right. Let's see. What are we at here? We're next up. We've got Wakandan Forever writes, what's this nonsense? Kong and the Armed Forces versus Godzilla. Now it's a handicap match. The Wakandan Athletic Commission would have never sanctioned this match. I love that. Godzilla is going to be even more motivated now. John, not too late to change your pick. Nope. I'm sticking with it. It's going to be Kong, and I'm going to go with Kong. I think he's going to get the ground and pound down on Godzilla. He's going to get him down. He's going to achieve full mount. He's going to start dropping some elbows, cut him up a little bit, keep his mouth turned to the side, keep that nuclear fire out of the way. That's the way I'm going. But you're right. It is a little bit of a handicap match. I didn't even think about it that way, Wakanda Forever. All right. Steve Pintor writes, hey, John, 1 of 3. I just wanted to share this with you. I was born at the end of 1989. My father had just walked away from me and my mother in the early 1990s, and I remember finding the TV show Lois and Clark, Superman Adventures with Dean Cain. Even though it is extremely cheesy, Dean's character, Superman and Clark, taught me so many good values, and I still have to this day. How to be a good person, how to be a good partner, and how to be a good son for my mother. I didn't have that growing up since I had no male figure to look up to, so that's why no matter who plays the character in movies or TV shows, my favorite superhero will always and forever be Superman. In a way, that character was my father figure growing up. Steve, that is so beautifully put. I mean, Rob, we talk about it all the time, and I think Steve just articulated this in a beautiful way that maybe I never could. That, you've heard me say before, we as a species are storytellers, right? Right back to the earliest recorded history we have, going all the way back to people living in the caves, making images on the walls, telling their stories through that, whether it's passing on our history through stories around a campfire, the written word, the printing press, whatever, and now in its ultimate form, the movies. We are a species of storytellers. It's how we convey who we are, who we dream we could be, who we wish we could be, what we fear we may become, our hopes, our dreams, our fears, our regrets, our guilt, our aspirations, all of these things. These are all done in the stories we tell. And while I think it is a mistake that, yes, on some level, movies and TV shows are escapism. I mean, sure, on a level they are. But I think it's a mistake to limit them to that, to think that's all these stories are. Stories of our humanity and our human condition, whether they're told in a very grounded, dark way like a Schindler's List, or in a fantastical fantasy way like Star Wars, they still all convey those dreams, hopes, fears, aspirations, life lessons, things like that in the whole bit. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love the art of storytelling so much, why I love the movies, why I love TV, is because it's more than just escapism. It's a lot of that. And I just love the way that Steve kind of phrased that for us. But anyway, Rob, your quick thoughts on that. What do you think?
I completely agree with you. My whole life is all about is all about storytelling and celebrating storytelling and trying to tell my own stories, and storytelling is the I think the best and most effective way to communicate the experience of living to one another. And when you couch something in a story, it's the easiest way that people can understand what you are trying to tell them if it's a great story. Like, breaking news, John, I feel bad. Dustin Diamond, Screech from Saved by the Bell,
I heard about that.
passed away today. He's 44 years old, and I think he had a pretty colorful life. But I think about things like, Saved by the Bell, which was kind of an innocuous show, but it, represented a childhood. It represented a period in time for millions of people that have now grown up and become adults. And all of our favorite stories that we love, whatever it is, whether it's a book, whether it's a TV show, whether it's a movie. I mean, these are things that represent so many things to every single person. I mean, I was watching Siskel and Ebert's review of Raiders of the Lost Ark. I love going back and watching old Siskel and Ebert reviews of favorite movies. And they loved it. And, you forget that there was a time when Raiders of the Lost Ark didn't exist. And I went and saw it. I went and saw it at a preview show before it had even opened because Lucas and Spielberg made it. And I didn't understand. I didn't know what it was going to be like. And I remember sitting in the theater. I saw it at the Factoria Cinemas in Bellevue, Washington, and it was on a double bill. They showed it 2 weeks before it came out with Excalibur. So we had to watch Excalibur, and then we saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. And when it was over, I'm like, I've never seen anything like this before. and I understood that it came from the idea of serials, but it literally changed my life. I mean, my friends and I walked out of that theater and we're like, oh my God, that was amazing. And literally you're changed because of 2 hours in the cinema. A story can change you, the way a tale is presented.
Yeah.
And it can make you, I think, a better person. I honestly believe the great stories make our lives better. I really believe that. And when you watch a story that's surprising or different or something that moves you, I mean, think about it. A story is a totally made up, it might be based in real life, but it's made up. Nothing you watch in a movie is real. It's a camera being placed somewhere. It's an actor wearing clothes. None of it's real. And yet it's alchemy, it's magic. And if it's a great story, you're forever changed because of it.
Yep. I remember coming out of watching the documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor, about Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, man.
And I remember I came out of that almost shaking. And I wrote I tweeted out something that was like this: a great movie will change the way you see the world.
Yeah.
A great movie will change the way you see the world, but a truly exceptional movie will change you. And I remember walking out of that movie just feeling it alters you, it changes you, and it's the power of stories. And I'm sorry, we got sidetracked there. Anyway, got sidetracked there a little bit. So let's keep going here, shall we? Let's get one more here while Rob is still with us. So in the Godzilla versus Kong trailer, the story seems to be that someone is controlling Godzilla. What if the Godzilla Kong is actually ends up being Mechagodzilla in disguise, while the real Godzilla is being held captive only to help Kong in the end? Again, I don't believe there's any reason to believe that. I'm also not sure somebody's controlling Godzilla. I think there's something going on. There's definitely something going on. But again, if you market the movie Godzilla versus Kong, and then you pull a fast one and say, it was never Godzilla versus Kong at all. It was Mechagodzilla versus Kong. I think that would piss a lot of people off. They're saying they're going to fight as Godzilla versus Kong, so I think that's where they're going. Let's get one more in here. Ryan Lohner writes, I'm really liking Netflix's animated Jurassic World spinoff, Camp Cretaceous. And this is coming from someone whose response to both Jurassic World films so far was to quote Jeff Goldblum, that's one big pile of shit. I personally, Rob, I actually like the two Jurassic World movies. I mean, neither of them hold a candle to the original Jurassic Park, obviously,
right.
but I like both of them. Ann and I did try watching Camp Cretaceous. I think we got 3 episodes in and then we bailed after about 3 episodes. It just wasn't for us. I mean, the whole social media girl and everything, it just felt, I don't know. I'm not going to crap talk. I'm just saying it wasn't for us. We did enjoy it. That's fine. I don't think we were the demographic. But anyway, Rob, did you have a chance to check out this Camp Cretaceous at all on Netflix? Because I know you were a little bit curious about it.
I did. I watched the first episode, and I liked it a lot. A friend of mine was involved in the production of the show. I thought it was good. It was fun. And like you said, I mean, the Jurassic World movies, they were fine. Even the second one I didn't like as much. I was a little disappointed because of the director, but still, dude, I'll watch anything that has rampaging dinosaurs on it. I mean, at the end of the day, as long as I get rampaging dinosaurs messing up stuff, I'll watch it. I've been watching stuff like that since I was a kid, whether it was Valley of the Guanji, whether it was the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Give me a giant monster wreaking havoc somewhere and eating people, and I will watch it. And I find that the Jurassic World movies, look, was it a rehash of the first? Sure. But so what? I was entertained. I walked in to see Jurassic World to see dinosaurs running amok, and I got that. And I got Chris Pratt, and I got a redhead, Bryce Dallas Howard, and I got popcorn and a Diet Coke. So I'm all happy. I was not expecting, I don't know, The English Patient or Lawrence of Arabia, and I while it might not have been the greatest genre fare, I thoroughly had a good time.
Yeah, I had a good time too. Hey, listen, Rob, I know we've kept you a little bit over time. Thanks for being here on our first episode back in a week. By the way, I do need to give you a call as soon as the episode's over to see if I can get your help with something. So keep your phone by you, will you? But anyway,
I will.
In the meantime, brother, where can people follow you and your glorious adventures online?
You can find me on Instagram at Robert Meyer Burnett, find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, and my show, Robservations.
All right, dude. Thanks a lot for being here, and I will talk to you in just a little bit. Have a good one, man.
All right, man.
All right, everybody. That is the one and the only, the great Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. But listen, guys, we still have about 25 minutes here. So let's keep right on rolling with the questions. So that let's keep getting caught up here. All right, Island Boy writes in, John, Tom Brady. Whatever you do, please keep saying the Bucs have no chance to win it all. This has been the season of my dreams. He didn't play great, but damn it, he changed the culture of our team. Super Bowl, baby. I mean, look, any discussion now that, any discussion that Tom Brady is not the GOAT just makes you look silly at this point, okay? He has now been in more Super Bowl. He has made it to the Super Bowl 10 times in his career. To put that into perspective, only one team in NFL history, not one player, only one team has ever been to the Super Bowl as many times as Tom Brady, and that was New England Patriots because Tom Brady took them there 9 times. No other team in the NFL has ever been to the Super Bowl as many times as Tom Brady has been to the Super Bowl. He goes to a team that hasn't even been in the playoffs in forever, and what does he do? He takes him to the Super Bowl. Put this in context. Tom Brady is going to his 10th Super Bowl. He is taking his team to the Super Bowl for the 10th time. Aaron Rodgers, who a lot of people say is the quarterback of this generation, Aaron Rodgers has taken his team to the Super Bowl one time. And that obviously Aaron Rodgers is great, but I mean, he's taken his team to the Super Bowl once. Tom Brady's taken them 10 times. Again, I thought the Packers would beat the Bucs last week. I did. I was cheering for Tom Brady, but I mean, I predicted the Packers would be too much of them. I am also predicting that the Kansas City Chiefs they are simply the best team in the league. The Kansas City Chiefs are clearly the best team in the league. And it ain't just Mahomes. When you look at Hill and Kelsey and every other weapon that team has, they're just whatever. That doesn't mean that Tampa Bay can't win that game. Tampa Bay can win the game, but it's gonna take Kansas City having a bad game. Kansas City is gonna have to have a bad game for them to get there. And by the way, Strange Marvel Theories just sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you so much for that, Strange Marvel Theories. Appreciate that. But we're going to see what happens. But I mean, win or lose, it doesn't matter. Tom Brady has just taken his team to the Super Bowl for the 10th time. Doesn't matter if they win or lose. I mean, his place as the GOAT is so cemented. It is insane. Anyway, let's keep going here. James Germain writes, "Hey, John, saw the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer the other day and got me wondering who the real king of the jungle, Kong or Alexander Skarsgård as Tarzan. Pitter patter, let's get at her." You know what? I didn't hate that movie. It had Margot Robbie in it too, by the way, if you remember that Tarzan movie. And it had Samuel, I believe it also had Samuel L. Jackson in it, if I'm not mistaken. Had Skarsgård, Margot Robbie, Samuel Jackson. It wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. Anyway, Kara Black writes, one of two. Tom Brady and the Bucs are going to the Super Bowl. I remember back when the Bucs got Brady and Gronk in April. You then made the statement that the Bucs would be fun to watch, but contenders they were not. Then last week you said they would get handled by the Packers, no contest, and basically had no shot to win. I never said they had no shot to win. I mean, I even gave a score. It wasn't that big of a difference. I didn't say they had no shot to win. Even though they obliterated the Packers 38-10 early in the season, well, not only did Brady and the Bucs win, but they never trailed in the game once. John, contenders they are. Hey, listen, I will own this. I'm a big Brady fan and a big fan of Gronk. It's the Tampa Bay Gronkaneers to me, all right? Not the Tampa Bay Buck. It's the Tampa Bay Gronkaneers. I'm a big fan. But yeah, when the season started, I said, whoa. Everybody's talking about Super Bowl. Come on. Tampa Bay hasn't made the playoffs in forever. Okay, they're not a good team. Tom Brady is now 43. Gronk has been out of the league for over a year. He hasn't played in over a year. And he started the season 25 pounds lighter than what he ended his last season in. I said, look, they're going to be fun to watch. They're going to be an improved team. But come on, stop with this Super Bowl talk. And here we are. They're going to the Super Bowl. When will I learn? When will I learn to get out of the doubting Tom Brady business? I don't know, but I'm still picking the Kansas City Chiefs to win this weekend. But I don't know. Maybe, hopefully I'm wrong. All right, next up. If you answer this, if you don't answer this right, John Schnepp can be revived if Guillermo del Toro directs Doctor Strange 3, featuring a team up with a kaiju, a guy playing a flame-throwing guitar, and a sentient monster truck chase scene. Damn, he was the dopest nerd I've ever seen. Yeah, it's true. John Schnepp was indeed the king of the sweaties. And by the way, Dwayne Jackson sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you for that, Dwayne Jackson. I appreciate that, man. He was indeed the king of the sweaties, and there has never been one like him, and there never will be one like him again. And I keep encouraging you can still go and get his movie, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happens. I encourage everybody to do that, and hopefully, we'll be able to be at Comic-Con this year, and a few of us will be able to commemorate Schnepp at that thing. So, yeah. Anyway, go check out his movie if you've never had a chance to do so. All right, next up. Glenn writes, "Hey, John, Sony Pictures on sale rumor has surfaced again." They're absolutely not. "But I don't understand the reasoning that studios are struggling due to COVID, hence low share prices, but Sony Pictures don't have shares and is wholly owned by Sony. Sony shares are at a 5-year high." Here's the biggest thing. I mean, there have been how many times in the past number of years we had to deal with, John, did you hear the newest report? Sony is up for sale and Disney's going to buy them and they're going to get a Spider-Man back and all. And every time it turned out to be complete BS. What everybody needs to understand is back in the day when Sony was going through its financial problems, I think that's why they made the deal with Marvel to incorporate Spider-Man back into the MCU. He's still under Sony's control, but all that kind of stuff. But those days are now behind them. They got a new CEO. And because the previous CEO of Sony wasn't all that big on the movie business. He was more of an electronics guy, which is fine. The new CEO is a lifelong, massive movie guy. He loves the movies. It's not like that he's a producer or anything, but he loves the movies. And he said Sony is in the movie making business. And so, I mean, I don't think we're going to see Sony up for sale anytime soon. Anything can happen for the right price. As Ted DiBiase used to say, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. But I think the price tag would be so high, I don't see somebody else buying them. And who can buy them? Disney can't even buy them. I mean, Disney just spent half of their net worth buying Fox. So I don't think they're a buyer right now either. So I wouldn't right now. I mean, hey, anything can happen, but I wouldn't believe any rumors about Sony being up for sale right now. I just wouldn't believe that personally. Anyway, next up, Emery writes, why would you be okay with Cap coming back when we have a completed story with him, but get mad about the possibility of Hydra being back? Also, Gamora clearly isn't the same. Loki isn't, and Vision isn't. Just like a C-137 Rick died, there's a difference. No, there's not. You can keep telling yourself that. Go ahead. Keep telling yourself that. Look in the mirror and say, no, it's a different Gamora. It's a different Gamora. Keep looking in the mirror and saying, oh, it's okay. It's a different Loki. Just keep saying that to yourself in the mirror if that makes you feel better. If that helps you sleep at night, I'm all for it. And I'm giving you a bit of a hard time here, Henry. We're all fellow fans here, so I'm just going to jab at you a little bit. But it's done as buddies. But hey, if that makes you feel better, you go ahead and do that. Bottom line is Gamora's back. Bottom line is Loki's back. You can use semantics, do the semantic dance with your partner all you want. Like I said, look at yourself in the mirror and keep saying, it's a different Gamora. It's not the same. No, it's Gamora. Gamora's back. It's the DC fake death universe. Anyway, and I say that in fun, but with the Captain America thing, no, I don't understand the comparison between the Hydra situation and the Captain America situation. Hydra is a villainous organization that they have wiped out and defeated multiple times, and they keep going back to it. To me, that's like the fake death thing again. Like, it's like, okay, Hydra has now been obliterated. And then they bring Hydra back. Okay, now they're back. Okay, now we've rooted them out and they're obliterated again. And then they bring Hydra back again. And it's just on and on and on. You can't say the same thing with Captain America. Yes, Cap did a story, but it's like comic books. One story then leads into the next. And now he can be back by any sort of many ways. So yeah, I personally feel that they're completely different situations. They're not the same. You can't compare them. But that Gamora, that's Gamora. Loki, that's Loki. You can say, oh, but this one comes from Mirror Universe A17-B Zeta. So it's kind of, you just say whatever you want. It's Loki. Loki's back. Say whatever you want. Gamora's back. You can play around with semantics all you want, but what it is that they killed a character, but don't worry, the character's back. I mean, so yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Anyway, Emery, you keep telling me your theories, man. Don't let me poking at you deter you at all. And you think what you're going to think. Your opinion is every bit as valid as mine, brother. But I hope you don't mind the friendly jab in here. All right, next up. Detroit Dog writes, did you notice in the trailer, I'm talking about Kong versus Godzilla, I assume here. Did you notice in the trailer you only see Kong beating up Godzilla? Godzilla will have his Rocky and Daniel-san moment for the comeback victory with his hand raised. Not sure how Kong got his hands on Stormbreaker, but even that won't save him. Team Zilla. Team Kong all the way. But no, honestly, seriously, what I do believe, and I said this before, was we have that. This one was very much a Kong-centric trailer. We're going to get another trailer that's going to be Godzilla-centric. And we're going to see Godzilla, I believe, in that one getting in his shots. And so like this one was Kong heavy. I believe, no insider information, but I believe we're going to get another one. We're going to get another one where it's going to be more Godzilla centric. So anyway, that's what I kind of think there. Anyway, next up, Suthius writes, "Hey guys, enjoyed Godzilla vs. Kong trailer. Apparently that's the first destruction scene. That first destruction scene is caused by Mechagodzilla. That's for saying around the 4-second mark, you can see Mechagodzilla. At least I believe that's Mechagodzilla at any rate. You can also see part of his blueprint on a screen in the background. Very curious to find out what's causing Godzilla to go AWOL though. Again, that is what they kind of introduce is going to be the quote unquote mystery of Godzilla versus Kong is why is Godzilla right now acting this way? There's going to be a reason, but we're going to have to watch the movie to figure it out. And I think it's great that they're introducing that. All right, next up, Ashley M writes, what are the chances that in the 90s sitcom episode of WandaVision, the house will look similar to the house from Full House? Probably pretty good. Didn't we already see that? I know we saw the Family Ties kind of looking house. I think we already saw it. Anyway, so far the house sets have been homages to sitcoms of their time. Love the third episode. Love the fourth one too. And you're right. They have been doing that. And I wouldn't be surprised at all. I also wouldn't be surprised at all to see some Full House references. I mean, I think it's a missed opportunity that we're not getting Mary-Kate and Ashley just showing up in it. But they're not willing to do that, so that's fine. But I still think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity. They've got to have Elizabeth Olsen make some sort of joke that is clearly something to do with the fact that her sisters were in that show. I don't know. We'll see what they do, Ashley. All right. Koa 1708 writes, is it me or does Kong's size keep fluctuating? In this upcoming movie, in the posters, he's taller than skyscrapers, but it doesn't seem that way in the trailer. No, listen, you're not the only one to think that. I have that exact same thought. Why does he, wait a minute, how come he's this big when he's standing in a downtown city and he's towering over everything? But in this other thing, he's only as big as the boat and can stand on that boat. It's a big boat. Don't get me wrong. It's a big boat, but yeah, it kind of feels like there's a lack. Maybe I'm wrong. But Koa, I had that same feeling. I had that same feeling. That it feels like there's a little bit inconsistency with how actually big they say they are. But I don't know, maybe we'll watch the movie and maybe we won't think that anymore. I don't know, but maybe you and I are the only ones to think that, possibly. All right, Murray Reich writes, what did you think of the call by Packers coach for not going on 4th and goal? Was pretty odd to me. Also, how great is it that we got another GOAT Super Bowl? I predict Chiefs win, though, with that offense. Yeah, again, it's not just Mahomes. It's not Mahomes versus Brady. It's Tampa Bay with their offense versus Kansas City's defense. And it's Kansas City's offense against Tampa Bay's defense. Kansas City's offense, again, Hill, Kelsey, they are frightening. They're so good. So, I just don't think Tampa Bay's defense can hold up to them. It's not a matter of Brady. It's a matter of the defense, I think. But at any rate, listen, I would have gone for it if I were the Packers on 4th and goal. You've got Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and it's not like it was 4th and goal from the 20-yard line. I mean, they were inside the 10. If you don't believe Aaron Rodgers can get it done, I don't know what to tell you. There's like 2 minutes left in the game. You're down by 8. You need a touchdown and an extra and a 2-point conversion. And you've got Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Now, I don't think it was the dumbest decision in the world because the reality is that you still had the 2-minute warning. You still had your timeouts. If you kick a field goal now and get it, and then get a 3 and out, you'll get the ball back with about 1:30 left. And Aaron Rodgers a quarterback, and then all you need is get the touchdown and you win. So I would have gone for it. I think it was a mistake not to go for it. But at the same time, I don't think it was the most ludicrous call by the coach either. And if it had worked, they would have called him a genius. So that's my thought. Anyway, next up. Murray Reich also writes, that Godzilla vs. Kong trailer was great coming from someone who liked Kong Skull Island. I like Kong Skull Island too. Kind of like the first Godzilla, although he was in it for like 5 minutes, I think. Second one was bad. Sorry, Rob. I agree. I did not like Godzilla King of the Monsters. That's why before this Godzilla vs. Kong trailer, I had not been excited for Godzilla vs. Kong. I had not been excited for it because I really didn't like Godzilla King of the Monsters. And now that I saw this trailer, are you kidding me? I'm so excited for it. That last shot of Kong shoving Godzilla's fire down his throat felt like a UFC fight. I'm telling you, I just remember watching that. It's like, okay, here comes Godzilla's big weapon, the nuclear fire. And King Kong's like, oh, isn't that adorable? Your little nuclear fire. That's precious. How about I take it, like you just said, how about I take that and shove it right up your ass, as Stone Cold would probably say. Anyway, yeah, it was a great moment, but we're going to see, make no mistake, we're going to see at some point here, we're going to see a Godzilla focused trailer, I think, at some point, very soon. All right, an anonymous viewer writes in, it's 2030 and Tom Brady is vying for his 15th Super Bowl and the Cowboys still suck. Phillip Rivers just had his 20th kid. New Mutants 2 came out and Man of Steel 2 still hasn't been released yet, but they are vying for a 2035 release date. Fingers crossed. I mean, the funny thing is, at this point, I don't doubt any of that. I don't doubt any of that. As crazy as it sounds, I don't doubt. I mean, all of that sounds way too painfully probable. It all feels pain, other than the Tom Brady thing. This dude's still going to be winning titles when he's in his 50s, man. All right. John Campea, obviously not me, writes, now that you mentioned it, my wife, why am I blanking on her name? Let me Google it quick. And what a wonderful woman she is. Seriously though, I know she's busy, but I would love to see her on the John Campea Show if she ever has the time. It is. Listen, when Ann and I get to do, stuff on my show together, that's always really fun for me. So it's great that we get to do the Mandalorian post-show spoiler discussions, that we're doing the WandaVision post-show spoiler discussions. We'll do Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it is tough because when I do this show, Anne is working at her job, and her job is, she just started her new job today. I don't think some of you may have heard me say this before. Anne just started her new job today. And she's about 40 feet that way in her home office working. But, Anne is she's got 4 degrees. She's one of the leading like project and program management professionals out there. She has launched and stewarded a lot of big projects for a lot of big companies with Hasbro, then with Amazon. And then, for those of you who don't know, Apple came knocking, and Apple asked Anne if she was interested in a job. And today she has started it. She is now the global launch program manager. She's in charge of shepherding the global launch of iPad and iPhone products. So that's Anne's new job. It was just too good of an offer to pass up. She was with Amazon for about a year. She loved working at Amazon. She loves Amazon. She'll go back there. I think before she retires, she's going to go back to Amazon. She loved the people there, but it was just such a great, it was such a great opportunity for her with Apple and such a great position. And it was too good. And yeah, it looks like I might have to become an iPhone guy. I love my iPad. I like my MacBook. But man, I love my Galaxy Note 20. I love my Note 20 Ultra. I'm an Android guy. I am an Android guy. But to be supportive, I might have to make the switch over to iPhone. I think we're going to become an iPhone family. To be supportive. Anyway, there's that. But oh God, I will miss my Android. I used to use iPhone. And like I said, my favorite computing device right now is my iPad. I have an iPad Pro. I love it. It is not my most powerful computer. My desktop computer is obviously my most powerful computer, but my favorite computing device I have, and I have a lot of them, is my iPad Pro. I love that thing. But I am more of an Android guy when it comes to my phone, and looks like that's going to be changing here soon. Anyway, let's go. We still got a couple of minutes here. Let's keep going here. And an anonymous viewer writes, meanwhile, Bill Belichick has been recruiting Dominic Toretto to be his system quarterback, which according to many, he's somehow survived all the Fast and Furious movies. So he's the best shot at stopping the GOAT once and for all. Hashtag justice for Shaw. It's funny. A lot of people have often tried to knock Tom Brady saying, he's just a system quarterback. And there's a sports pundit out there by the name of Colin Cowherd. He used to be at ESPN. He's now at Fox Sports. But I heard Colin Cowherd give a perfect explanation for that. He said, Tom Brady isn't a system quarterback. Tom Brady is the system. Everything revolves around him. He is the system. He's not just some quarterback who fit into the system of what was going on with the team. Tom Brady is the system. And what happens? He's not in New England anymore. First time in decades that New England hasn't made the playoffs. I mean, it's only the second time, I think, in like 18 years they haven't made the playoffs. And he goes to Tampa Bay where they haven't been in the playoffs in forever, and he's taken them to the Super Bowl. Tom Brady is the system. All right, anyway, next up. Playmaker writes, thinking about WandaVision, once Vision actually figures out this world isn't real, how will he be able to protect himself from Wanda just rewinding time glitching reality when he confronts her? That's the billion-dollar question right there, right? So here's the thing. The big difference right now between how episode 4 ended and the other times in the show in episodes 1, 2, and 3, whenever Vision starts to put some pieces together saying, you know, Wanda, something's not right here, she rewinds it, right? Because she doesn't want him to figure it out because she wants to keep herself in the fantasy. The difference with the end of episode 4 is that this was the first time that Vision realized something was wrong and that Wanda was part of what was wrong. All the other times he thought he was in it with Wanda and going, you know, darling, something strange stuff is going on here that doesn't quite make sense. Rewinds him. But this time it was, he's figuring out something's wrong with Wanda. And so now he's keeping it to himself. And what is going to happen? How will he not just get blipped out or rewound like he did previously? Well, maybe just too much time passes. She can't just rewind it. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure the show will explain it, but right now that is one of the big mysteries there, Playmaker. Okay, next up, Doug writes, John, I was wondering if you have ever seen the film The Iceman. I bring it up because my screenwriting teacher in college this semester actually wrote the movie. Oh, really? And I know you're friends with Aaron Cummings, who is in it. It's a small world. Keep up the great content. Yes, of course, because it is Aaron's movie. I watch all of Aaron's stuff. Sometimes I watch Aaron's stuff by accident. Like, for example, I didn't realize... what was the James Franco movie calling The Disaster Artist? Sometimes, this is the thing with Aaron, I sometimes find out Aaron is in things by watching them and I didn't even know she's going to be in it. For example, The Disaster Artist with James Franco. That's kind of the spoof on The Room. I had no idea Aaron was in that. I had no idea. Ann and I are in the theater. We're watching The Disaster Artist, having a good time. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, that's Aaron on screen. She was in the restaurant scene with Judd Apatow. That's Aaron. And I had no idea. So I get out, I'm like calling her. How the hell did you not tell me you were in The Disaster Artist? And then another time, like one of the shows that I really like watching on TV is the James Spader show, The Blacklist. I really like that show. And I'm watching The Blacklist. And all of a sudden I realize, oh, the main guest character this week is Aaron. She was like the main character on one of the episodes, the main guest character on one of the episodes. And I'm like, so I pick up the phone again and I call Aaron. How did you not tell me you were in The Blacklist? And fortunately, she did tell me she was going to be in Lucifer, which is like my favorite show on TV right now. So I did know about that, but a lot of the things, but fortunately, Iceman was one of those, like it was a smaller project that she did tell me about and I got to see it. So that was good. That's really cool that your professor wrote the damn thing. That's awesome. Let's see. Next up. Is who are we at here? Noah M writes, and Noah M writes, hey, John, which is the better fight? Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant or Cliff Steele versus Jesus? Also, I watched True Lies and I liked it. Wish they spent more time with the wife storyline on her going into Arnold's profession. Best part of the movie, in my opinion. Listen, I'll tell you what, True Lies is my all-time favorite action film. It just flat out, True Lies is my all-time favorite action film. It is everything a great action film of that era should be. It's got great fun action. It's got wicked one-liners. It's absolutely hilarious. It's just overall is a tremendous, tremendous movie. And it is my absolute favorite all-time action film. Not my all-time favorite movie, but my all-time favorite action film. And everything from, Paxton is so funny in it. It's pathetic. I love Bill Paxton. It is so great. It's the first movie where I ever heard the phrase, Charlton Heston says the phrase, screwed the pooch. I've never heard, that was the first time I had ever heard that phrase. The movie is just great. If you guys have not watched the magnificent Arnold Schwarzenegger film, True Lies, you absolutely must. All right, guys. It is now 12 p.m. We've hit the 2-hour mark. That'll do it for us for now. But listen, we've got heavy companion videos coming because we're going to get all caught up. Again, we haven't done a show in a week. We've fallen well behind on all the live questions you guys sent in, but you sent in those questions and you supported the channel. I'm going to make sure they get answered as quickly as we can. So for everybody from Rendall and Anonymous and Fernand and Johnny Weiner and on, do not worry, guys. We're going to get caught up on these questions as quickly as we can, and keep your eyes open for some companion videos that are coming. And of course, the John Campea Show will be back again tomorrow. Special thanks to Robert Meyer Burnett for bringing his glory and greatness to the show. And a special thank you to all of you guys who did send in these questions. Number one, because you give us great fun things to talk about. And number two, you support this channel while you do it. And all of us here involved with the show, thank you guys very, very much for that. And believe me, we will get caught up here real quick. And thank you for your patience again. We moved, guys. We moved. We're in my new studio. It's not finished, but it's up and operational. It is fully armed and operational battle station. You may fire when ready, Commander. We're in here and running. So thank you guys for your patience while I took this week to get everything ready and ready to go. Thank you for joining us on the show today. And again, guys, click on that subscribe button, leave a comment, click the thumbs up button if you like these types of videos. It helps us with the algorithm as well. Guys, that will do it for me. Please remember to do the 4 main things. Stay smart, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and please take care of the people around you. That'll do it for me for now, guys. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.